It's time for our monthly check-in with recruiter guy Bill Humbert. Bill is joining us virtually once again. Thanks, Bill, for being with us.
Good morning, Christine.
Good morning. It's good to see you. Good to connect with you. Before we dig into the topic of the day, though, I want to ask you, you help people find jobs, you help businesses find the right employees. How would you gauge the people that you're working with, and how has that changed over the past few months?
Well, the people that I'm working with, many of them right now are people who were laid off as opposed to somebody who had a job and didn't really like the job so much, so they wanted to go somewhere else. So probably the 16 people that I'm coaching right now, all of them were laid off from their jobs. And what's really interesting and really important for anybody who's been laid off, especially professionals, is that
Like up.
8 people that I've coached since March 15th have accepted positions.
So that is good news to hear. It's been really tough, especially in a resort town that we're in, because so many things have had to shut down and are slowly, hopefully, resuming. So we're hoping for some good news, frankly. But let's dig into our discussion of the day. We're talking about recruiting metrics. Tell me more.
So, recruiting metrics are really important because it helps you determine as a company how well your recruiting process is working. Unfortunately, too often, though, companies will focus strictly on the human resource and the recruiting function within it without including actions by managers or lack of action by managers. And there are other vendors that are involved, like the background investigation company. And occasionally, companies will actually have people go out and they'll do a contract and have people do reference checks for them. So too often, those extraneous groups are not being measured in terms of how they're impacting the recruiting process.
Now, you've been doing this for many, many years, and you've worked with a business some time ago who had, like 400 openings, and they were upset with their recruitment company. There was kind of a miscommunication with that. Tell me more.
So it was really interesting. The company was a major commercial and defense contractor and a large company, and they had 400 aging openings, which means they're probably over 6 months old. And they brought me and some other recruiters in to help their staff lower the numbers, fill those positions so that they wouldn't have so many aging requisitions is what they called them. And what was really interesting was what I do is I go in and I speak with the manager, find out exactly what it is they're looking for in a candidate. And then when I start forwarding candidates to them, they should be pretty spot on. One of the managers I was working with, I forwarded 25 screened resumes to him over 3 weeks and did not hear a word. So he didn't return my calls, he didn't return my emails, and the nice thing is he was about a mile away. And so what do? I go visit him, dropped in his office, say, hey, what's happening? And he wasn't happy that I stopped without setting an appointment, which I would have never gotten. And I asked him, so what's going on? I've sent you 25 candidates. And he said, well, really, I don't want to fill a position right now. I just want to keep the open rec because they're too hard to open. And I said, that's not a reason to have an open rec. So I went to human resources and I said, that guy is not going to fill that position. You need to close the rec and let him open one when he's ready. And you have to ask the question, how many other managers were doing the exact same thing?
And that can be very frustrating when you're looking for a job if these positions aren't actually open, or sometimes you might wonder if a position's been open for many, many months. So what can hiring managers do?
Well, hiring managers need to be responsive if they have candidates that are presented to them either through a recruiting firm or through their internal recruiters. And I try to get a system level agreement, an SLA, that they will respond to me in 2 days, because the good candidates are gone. You know, you let them wait for 10 days and they're out of there. They've already mentally checked out anyway. So it's really frustrating for the candidates because they just feel, well, I guess they don't have any interest in me. But it's important for the managers to be responsive. If they're interested in somebody, to get the process moving, set up the interviews as soon as possible. And when the time comes to make a decision, hire or not hire.
And what else can they do? What other metrics do you recommend?
I recommend that companies do track the manager responsiveness. I do that through a spreadsheet that I give to my clients every week. And I just list dates. You know, this is the date I submitted this person's screened resume. This is the date that the manager responded to me. That's the date when they just interviewed, and that's the date when it offered. So I have it all laid out in a spreadsheet that I send them. And it would be good for companies to do that as a practice.
And Bill, this has been some great advice for businesses, for recruiters, for employees, people looking for jobs. Tell me what you're working on right now.
Well, you know, timing is everything, right? Yesterday, I earned my eSpeakers Certified Virtual Presenter Badge, and they came in and they weren't here, but we did it virtually, and they measured my equipment and they measured my performance, and then I earned the badge. So I was really excited about that. My next book is in process. As a matter of fact, this morning I received the edited introduction and the first 3 chapters, and the book is called Expect Success: The Art of the Over 50 Job Search. And then one more thing, I'm on the National Speakers Association Mountain West Board, and our Get Paid to Speak is it's going to be on Wednesday, June 17th from 1 p.m. to 9 p.m. There's going to be 15 speakers speaking for 20 minutes at a time. The public is invited, and it's $20 to be there. And Christine, these speakers would probably command $200 to $300 per individual if they saw them in person. So it's going to be a really exciting day. We're going to get a lot of information, and these speakers will talk, in particular to people who are interested in the speaking business. They'll speak on how to get paid to speak.
Really great event. Well, thank you, Bill Humbert, for being with us today. Bill Humbert is the recruiter guy. He is local here to Park City, but helps people all over the country find jobs, helps businesses find the right employees, and so much more. You can find out more about him at recruiterguy.com. We have more coming up right after this. We'll be right back after this quick break.